keep it as a little buddy for a few
Yes.
Does that sound good? Yeah, okay, so that guy's on his way home. On his way back with us. But you can hold on to that. Okay, so now there's a couple ways to handle these guys. So I'll show you. Well, so first I'll just show you how we actually handle them, and I'll show them, and then everybody can have a chance trying to handle this guy. And if he escapes, so be it. So we're going to start with the wet, icky guy, okay? So that if he escapes, no biggie. Does that sound good? Yeah, so you guys can sort of see. So in general, one would use sometimes light gloves, or one uses a plastic bag. Look, when you're trapping, you've got 200 traps, you've got 195 bowls out there. You just stick your hand right in, hold the mouse right out, cup it underneath against your leg, get a finger in behind him, and then you have a mouse. Yeah, it's a little baby redback bowl.
It is?
Yeah, so this is a juvie.
Which team's copies? Those the Norwegian forest cats.
Oh, look at
What a
him.
mangy little guy.
He's so scared.
Got crooked. Got stuck in the trap.
He's got a tick on his neck.
See this?
Yeah, that's alright. It's not in me, it's in him. Are you aware of the health risks? Consequences of living out here? Okay, so you got him?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I'm making a video.
Oh, okay. So wait. So notice the way I've got him handled, and this is I got him by the scruff of the neck. Bulls have wonderful scruffs, so this is really easy. I pinched him from behind. A couple things that'll identify him. This guy's magnificent. He or she is an adult. This is just a juvenile guy, so he's still kind of an adolescent. Oh, do you have a mouse? Oh, cool. Bring him on back. We count frogs. Okay, so can you see the red on this?
Oh,
That's where they get their name. They're referred to as redback voles. They're referred to as redback voles. Now, this tells you something interesting. Regular mice are just gray all over. Okay, regular mice are just gray all over. And, of course, when are they active? And, of course, last night, did you notice the only shadows are all gray shadows? Everything's grayscale? Did you notice like last night? Everything's grayscale. And so, of course, then being a gray mouse makes a lot of sense. Now, you look at a chipmunk. What is the coat coloration of a chipmunk?
White, brown, red.
You've got reds and blacks and all these colors, and you got stripes, right? All of that coloration then tells you it's a daytime critter running among all these logs. So can you imagine if you're a chipmunk then, what kind of colors do you see out there?
All of the same colors.
And there's a lot of do you see a lot of lines? Because of sticks and twigs, it's interesting, there's a lot of lines. You know, so if you're an artist painting something like this, so if we got Fran out here doing a watercolor, think about it. Your first thing you'd notice is all these lines and how scale dependent the lines are. At a very small scale, look at all the lines of the grass. At a slightly bigger scale, the twigs, and then at a scale, whole forest. So now, this guy then, is he totally gray? This guy has a red stripe down his back. So what does that tell you about this mouse? No, it's not really chipmunky.
They
do that.
It's dawn and dusk.
No, it means actually night and day. These guys are 24/7. These guys are 24/7. They're mostly nocturnal, but they will spend some time out during the day. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, so the first thing we do when generally catch a mouse, we'll take a look at it, see whether it's an adult or subadult. So we would put down J for juvie. So this guy is, and you just put redback vole. Then the next thing we do is we sex these guys. So anytime we'd be doing work, is we would then try to see what the gender of this guy is. I've got to get my eyeballs. Do you mind just putting these on my face? I've got poop on my hands. This guy's peed on me. And oh, thank you. Oh, cool.
poor Gene. How did he find all his traps?
Oh. How many people found it a piece of cake to find their traps this morning?
Yeah.
It was just like, whoa, this was a cakewalk. It was like, wait a minute, why did it take so long last night? Okay, so the thing you look for to sex a mouse. If you're trying to sex a mouse, of course you go to sort of look down there. And what's interesting then in mice is this one is a female. So she's a she, so she's a little girl. And what happens in the world of rodents is, unlike humans, there will actually be three orifices or three structures. So the first you'll see is the anus. Of course, that's where the poop was coming out, right? And then as you move up from the anus right there, there'll be, just see that opening right there? Do you see that kind of soft opening there? We refer to that as the vulva. That would actually be the vagina. We refer to that as the vulva because it's its own separate orifice. Then as you move up from the vulva, do you see that little papilla? There you go. So they actually have like a little penis structure. Can you just sort of see? And that's where the urethra comes out. So the urethra comes out quite separate. and it comes out its own little, just a slight bulge, just kind of a slight penis structure. So the way that we sex these guys, especially if we had a juvenile male, is the only way you can really tell is one is you look for the vulva. You look for the vulva, and then you look up to see the position of, we call it the papilla. We refer to that as the papilla. And so by seeing the papilla and by seeing then the vulva, we know that then this is a little girl. The other thing we can do that we do with rodents is, rodents are interesting because when they have kids, boy, it's a major operation. And so, does anybody know what the uterus is like in a rodent?
Multiple sections.
You bet. They've got a bicornuate uterus. Boy, try that out, ladies. Could you imagine having 2 uteri? They have 2 cervices. How's that for amazing? 2 cervices. They have actually 2 cervices. And then when they have their young, they're in the 2 horns. They're in the 2 parts of the uterus. And of course, rodents, some species of rodents have 12 young, 10 young. The kids are all lined up in these different parts. So what it means is when they give birth, that's quite a bit of labor, right? Okay. So what happens then is the pubic symphysis gets permanently separated. The pubic symphysis gets permanently separated a little bit when they have their first litter. So the next thing we check on these things then is, has she ever had kids before? Now in this case, what are the odds that she's had kids? She's a juvenile, she hasn't, and I can sort of tell. But what we do is we very gently, we'll see if the other one's a female, we very gently with our fingernail, I know, sorry lady, is you just put your fingernail right into the pubic symphysis. So I've got my fingernail into the pubic symphysis, and it's completely closed up. The bone is completely locked together. So then what we would put is nulliparous, N.P. So you put down N.P. Nulliparous means she's never had kids. The next thing we look for in these guys is, of course, in humans there's a menstrual cycle. So humans are one of the interesting mammals in which they have what's called, you guys have what is called hidden ovulation. Hidden ovulation. Do you guys know what that means? Or concealed ovulation. Do you know what concealed ovulation is?
External indication that she's ovulating.
You don't know when you've ovulated, right? You don't know when you've ovulated. I mean, I don't really know about that. I haven't had that experience. But anyway, so they say in the textbooks. These guys, on the other hand, have an estrous cycle. These guys have an estrous cycle. And in estrous cycle, 2 things happens. One is the vulva will become very swollen when they are what we call receptive. The vulva will become very, very swollen, and she actually knows the moment she has ovulated. How's that for cool? And in some species of rodents, they send out pheromones. This is a bad idea, ladies. Don't try this at the singles bar. These guys also then send out a pheromone that tells every male in the neighborhood, I've just ovulated. And in some species, like the redback bull, then what that means is they will mate with multiple dads. There can be, how's that for, they can have 3 or 4 dads in their litter. And of course, what does that do from an evolutionary point of view? Bingo, you bet. That really ramps up the genetic diversity of the kids, right? So it really kind of ramps up the diversity of kids. So the other part then we look at is the vulva. And the vulva in this case is not swollen, so she is non-receptive. So we would either say vulva closed or non-receptive. So at this point, this little lady's not quite ready. She's not in an estrous cycle. So that kind of runs out the whole thing. Then ordinarily what we do, I didn't bring it, we put a scale on her tail, we'd weigh her. 16.5 grams. Yeah, see, 16.5 grams. Put it down there. Okay, does anybody want to try holding the little lady? Okay, cool.